Stop waiting for motivation to magically appear. It's not coming. Motivation isn't luck, it's strategy. And if you don't engineer it daily, you'll lose to someone who does. Here's how to stay driven every single day. No excuses. But then life will hand you whatever it wants, and let me tell you, what life throws at you by default usually isn't very impressive. The marketplace doesn't pay you for vague wishes. It doesn't reward you for daydreams that never get written down. It rewards clarity. It rewards precision. It rewards the man or woman who says, "This is what I want, and here's the plan to go after it." Most people drift. They wake up, and they let the day decide for them. They hope something good happens. Maybe they'll bump into an opportunity. Maybe they'll feel inspired. That's not a strategy. That's gambling. And gamblers usually lose. What you need is ruthless clarity. You need to sit yourself down and decide, in no uncertain terms, what you want from your health, your money, your relationships, your career, your mind, your spirit. Decide it. Don't leave it in the clouds. Write it down. When I was young, someone handed me a little piece of paper and said, "Write your goals." At first I thought it was silly, but then I realized something. Before that moment I had dreams, but no targets. And here's the truth. A dream without a target is just fantasy. Once you write it down, once you measure it, once you put a number on it or a date to it, the fantasy turns into a goal, and goals pull you forward. Clarity is power. If you say, "I want more money," and I hand you $1, technically, your wish has been granted. But if you say, "I want $100,000 in the next 12 months, now you've got something measurable. That's not vague. That's specific. And because it's specific, it changes your behavior. Suddenly you can ask, how do I earn $100,000 in 12 months? What skills do I need? What markets will pay that much? Who do I need to meet? Clarity triggers the right questions, and the right questions lead to the right answers. And clarity doesn't just tell you what to do. It also tells you what not to do. When you're vague, you chase everything. Every distraction looks tempting. Every opportunity feels like it might be the one. But when you're clear, you filter. You know what fits and what doesn't. You can say, "No, that's not my goal. No, that doesn't move me forward. Yes, this is the path." And saying no is just as important as saying yes. Here's another point. Clarity is uncomfortable. It's ruthless for a reason. Because once you write something down, you're exposed. You can't hide behind someday. You can't cover it up with, "I'll try." If you put down, "I want to lose 20 pounds by December 31st, you've made a promise to yourself. And if you don't follow through, you know it. That's why most people avoid clarity. They don't want accountability. But the truth is, accountability is where transformation begins. Now don't get me wrong. Clarity doesn't mean rigidity. Life changes, opportunities shift, and sometimes your goals evolve. That's fine. But even when you adjust the target, you adjust it with precision. You don't just float. You don't just drift. You redirect with intention. And let me add this, clarity inspires others. When you know what you want, people around you know how to help you. If you tell me, "I want to be successful," I don't know what that means. But if you tell me, "I want to start a business in digital marketing and have 50 clients by next year," I might say, "Hey, I know someone you should meet." Clarity attracts resources. Vagueness repels them. So here's the challenge. Take some quiet time and write down what you want. Not in general terms, but in detail. Write it like a blueprint. Break it into categories: health, wealth, relationships, personal growth. Be specific, be measurable, and be bold. Don't write what you think you can get. Write what you really want, because if you aim small, you'll hit small. If you aim big with clarity, at least you've got a chance of hitting something extraordinary. Clarity is the foundation of motivation. You can't stay motivated for something you can't define, but once you define it, once you give it shape, your mind and body align, every day becomes a chance to move one step closer. Every decision becomes simpler. Does this take me closer to my goal or not? That's the power of ruthless clarity. So don't drift. Don't gamble on vague dreams. Sit down. Decide. Write it. Measure it. Own it. Because the moment you do, you stop being a passenger in life and start being the driver. And when you drive with clarity, you don't just reach destinations, you build them. It comes from 1,000 little steps, stacked one on top of another. People like to imagine it happens overnight. But nothing could be further from the truth. You don't wake up one morning with a perfect body or $1 million business or an extraordinary marriage. Those things are built out of small victories, day after day. And here's the secret. Micro wins matter. See, most people get overwhelmed because they're looking at the mountain. They stand at the bottom and say, "It's too high. It'll take too long. I don't even know where to start." And that kind of thinking kills motivation before you've even taken the first step. The trick is not to obsess over the mountain. The trick is to focus on today's climb. What's the one step, the one action, the one little win you can take care of now? Because if you win today, tomorrow becomes easier. That's how you turn massive goals into daily battles. Take health. If you say, "I need to lose 50 pounds, it feels crushing. But if you say, "Today, I will eat clean and take a 30-minute walk," suddenly the goal is manageable. Do it today, win that battle, and then do it again tomorrow. After a while, the scale shifts, your energy shifts, your life shifts, all from stacking daily wins. In business, the same principle applies. You might dream of building a company worth millions. Great, but you don't build $1 million business in one move. You do it by making a sales call today, by sending out one proposal, by improving one product feature. Each small win adds up. Stack enough of them, and suddenly the dream isn't a dream anymore, it's a reality. Here's what micro wins also do. They build confidence. Every time you follow through on a small promise to yourself, you prove you can be trusted. And self-trust is the foundation of self-confidence. If you say, "I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. and you actually do, that's a win. If you say, "I'll read 10 pages tonight," and you actually read them, that's another win. Each little victory tells your mind, "Yes, I can." And when you've got a track record of "yes, I can," then the bigger challenges don't scare you anymore. Now, don't underestimate these small wins. They may not look dramatic, but over time they compound. Compounding is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. Financially, emotionally, physically. You may not notice the difference in a week. You may not even notice in a month. But give it 6 months, a year, 2 years, and the compound effect of daily victories will blow your mind. I like to think of it like planting seeds. If you plant one seed today, nothing happens tomorrow. But if you keep planting every day, a year later, you've got a garden. 10 years later, you've got a forest. Micro wins are those seeds. They don't look impressive on day one, but if you're consistent, they transform your entire environment. And remember, momentum loves micro wins. Have you ever noticed how one small success gives you energy for the next? You go for a short run, and suddenly you feel like eating healthy. You finish a tough work project, and suddenly you feel like tackling another one. Wins feed motivation. Motivation fuels action. Action creates more wins. That's the loop you want to live in. The problem is, most people wait for motivation before they act. That's backwards. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. And the easiest action to take is a small one. Something you can win today, something you can check off the list and say, "Done." Do that enough, and you'll never have to wonder where your motivation went. So here's the challenge. Break your goals down. Stop staring at the mountain. Write the summit down. Yes, but then map out the steps. Decide what winning today looks like. Keep it small. Keep it doable. Keep it clear. Then do it again tomorrow. And again the next day. String those wins together, and one day you'll look back and realize you've climbed the mountain after all. That's the magic of micro wins. They don't just build results, they build belief. They don't just push you forward, they pull you forward. And once you start stacking them, you become unstoppable. So don't wait for the big break. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Win today. Win the small battles. Stack them. And before long, those micro wins will add up to a life that feels like a miracle. If you put a healthy seed in bad soil, don't be surprised when it doesn't grow. It's not the seed's fault. The seed had potential, but the environment was wrong, and people are no different. You could have the best ideas, the biggest dreams, the strongest work ethic. But if you plant yourself in the wrong environment, you'll struggle. Environment is everything. Most people underestimate this. They think motivation is just about willpower. They say, if I'm strong enough, I can make it anywhere. But here's the truth. Even the strongest person bends under the weight of a bad environment. It's easier to stay disciplined around people who value discipline. It's easier to stay focused in spaces designed for focus. It's easier to grow when you're surrounded by inputs that challenge you instead of draining you. Think about the people around you. Are they lifting you up or pulling you down? Are they encouraging you to aim higher or constantly reminding you of your limits? I'll tell you this. Negativity is contagious. If you sit with people who complain all day, you'll start complaining. If you sit with people who gossip, you'll start gossiping. But positivity is also contagious. Sit with ambitious people, and you'll feel more ambitious. Sit with readers. You'll want to read. Sit with builders. You'll want to build. That's the law of association. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And it's not just people. It's spaces too. If your workspace is cluttered, noisy, distracting, you'll get poor results no matter how hard you try. But if you create an environment that supports focus, creativity, and energy, suddenly your productivity doubles. The environment either works for you or against you. You get to choose which. Inputs matter as well. What you feed your mind is just as important as what you feed your body. If you're constantly consuming junk, negative news, endless scrolling, mindless entertainment, don't be surprised when your motivation drops. But if you're feeding yourself good books, educational podcasts, inspiring conversations, then your mind stays sharp. Your vision stays alive. Garbage in, garbage out. Greatness in, greatness out. Now, cutting out dead weight isn't easy. Sometimes the people holding you back are close friends, even family. But here's the truth. You don't have to cut people off completely. You just have to limit the influence they have over you. Spend less time in toxic conversations. Spend more time with those who challenge you to grow. Protect your energy like you protect your money. Spend it wisely. And don't wait for the perfect environment to magically appear. Build it. Rearrange your space. Create routines that keep you on track. Seek out mentors, communities, and networks that stretch you. One dinner with the right person can change your direction more than a year of hanging out with the wrong crowd. That's how powerful environment is. I'll give you an example. Imagine trying to stay fit while living in a house full of junk food. Every day, temptation calls from the pantry. You might resist for a while, but eventually, you give in. Now imagine living in a house full of healthy food. No candy, no soda, just nutritious options. Suddenly, staying disciplined isn't about willpower, it's about environment. You've set yourself up to win. Life works the same way. Set yourself up to win. Surround yourself with people who inspire, not drain. Fill your space with tools, not distractions. Feed your mind with knowledge, not noise. And watch how much easier success becomes. Because here's the truth. Environment beats willpower every single time. You can try to push against a negative environment for a while, but sooner or later, it will wear you down. But if you put yourself in a positive environment, you don't have to push as hard. The environment carries you. It makes success feel natural, not forced. So take a look around your life, your friends, your home, your office, your phone, your daily habits. Ask yourself, is this environment helping me become who I want to be, or is it holding me back? Be honest. And then start making changes. They don't have to be dramatic. Small adjustments, one new friend, one cleaner desk, one better book can shift your momentum. Remember, you're not just a product of your choices. You're also a product of your environment. And if you want to change your life, the fastest way is often to change your surroundings. Put the seed in good soil. Because when the soil is rich, the seed can't help but grow. If you only work when you feel like it, you'll never get much done. Feelings are fickle. Some days you wake up ready to conquer the world. And other days you don't even want to get out of bed. If your success depends on your mood, then your future is in trouble. That's why you need routine. Because routine is stronger than mood. Systems are stronger than feelings. Think about it. Do you brush your teeth only when you feel motivated? No. You do it because it's a routine. You've built it into your life. And because it's routine, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to debate it. You just do it. That's the beauty of habits. They bypass emotion. They take discipline out of the equation. Once a routine is locked in, it carries you even on the days you don't feel like being carried. People waste too much energy negotiating with themselves. Should I work out today? Should I make those calls? Should I write that proposal? Every negotiation drains you. But if it's routine, there's no negotiation. You don't ask, you act. The decision was already made when you built the system. And that saves you energy for things that actually matter. Now, here's the truth. Nobody feels like doing the right thing every day, even the most successful people. They don't leap out of bed thrilled to face every challenge. They have days of doubt, days of fatigue, days when they'd rather stay home. The difference is, they've built routines that carry them through the bad days. And that's what separates amateurs from professionals. Let's take health. If you rely on mood, you'll exercise once in a while, when you're feeling energetic or guilty. But if you rely on routine, you'll exercise regularly because it's scheduled. It's just what you do. Over time, routine beats mood every single time. Mood is inconsistent. Routine is steady. And consistency is the real secret. Or take business. If you only make calls when you feel inspired, you'll fail. If you only work on your craft when you feel creative, you'll stagnate. But if you have a routine, every morning you reach out to prospects, every evening you refine your skill, you will advance. The routine guarantees progress, no matter what the mood is. Here's something else. Routine creates freedom. Most people think systems make life rigid. They don't. They actually give you freedom, because they eliminate chaos. When your day is structured, you get more done in less time. That leaves you more time for rest, family, creativity. Discipline and structure create the space for freedom. And let me remind you, routine doesn't have to be complicated. Start simple. Decide when you'll wake up. Decide when you'll work. Decide when you'll read. Exercise. Reflect. Put it on the calendar, and then stick to it. Once it's automatic, you won't need to think about it. That's the goal. Automatic excellence. It's like the farmer. He doesn't wait for motivation to plant seeds. He plants because it's the season. He doesn't ask himself if he's in the mood to water the crops. He waters because the crops need water. His routine sustains him, and come harvest time, he reaps the reward. Success is no different. Build the right routines, and your harvest will come. Now, I'm not saying you'll never feel inspired. You will. And when inspiration strikes, by all means, use it. But don't depend on it. Inspiration is a bonus. Routine is the foundation. Build the foundation, and the bonuses will stack up over time. So ask yourself, what routines are you running? Some people think they have no routines, but they do. They have the routine of hitting snooze, the routine of scrolling social media, the routine of procrastinating. The question isn't whether you have routines. The question is whether your routines serve you or sabotage you. Change your routines, and you change your life. It's really that simple. Don't chase moods. Build systems. Build habits. Build structures that carry you even when your feelings fail you. Because moods are temporary, but routines create permanent change. So stop waiting for the perfect mood. Stop negotiating with yourself. Decide what matters, build a routine around it, and stick to it until it becomes automatic. Do that, and one day you'll look back and realize you've built a life of discipline, consistency, and results. Not because you always felt like it, but because you built routines that didn't care how you felt. That's the real secret. Routine beats mood. Every time. If you want your life to get better, your mind has to get better first. The mind is like a factory, constantly producing thoughts, ideas, and decisions. And just like any factory, the output depends on the input. If you feed the factory junk, you get junk. But if you feed it wisdom, insight, knowledge, you get results that change everything. That's why it's so important to feed the mind. Most people don't realize this. They feed their bodies 3 meals a day, but they feed their minds 1 meal a month, if that. And then they wonder why life feels stuck. You can't run a successful life on mental starvation. You've got to make sure your mind is constantly nourished with good ideas, solid principles, and inspiring examples. That's how you expand your vision and kill mediocrity. Books are the best starting point. A book is a treasure chest someone spent years, sometimes decades, filling with their best thoughts and lessons. And you can open that chest for a few dollars or even for free. Imagine being able to sit down with history's greatest thinkers. People who built empires, created revolutions, solved problems, endured hardship, and learned from them directly. That's what a book is. It's condensed wisdom, ready for you to absorb. I learned early on that poor people have big TVs, but rich people have big libraries. That's not an accident. A book can shift your thinking in an hour. A single idea from a single chapter can alter the course of your life, but only if you pick it up. Only if you read it. Only if you let it sink in. Podcasts, lectures, recordings. They're another powerful way to feed the mind. We live in a time where you can access wisdom on demand. You can be driving to work and learning from entrepreneurs, philosophers, scientists, leaders. You can be cooking dinner while listening to strategies for wealth or health. There's no excuse for not learning. The world has made information so accessible that ignorance now is almost a choice. And mentors, well, mentors are like accelerators. A good mentor can do for you in a year what you might take 10 years to figure out on your own. They've already walked the path, made the mistakes, learned the lessons. And when you spend time with them, you get to borrow their experience that saves you time, pain, and wasted effort. If you don't have a mentor yet, go find one. And if you can't find one in person, use books and recordings as your mentors until you do. Now let me tell you something important. The mind doesn't stay neutral. If you don't deliberately feed it with good things, it will automatically absorb bad things. Negativity is everywhere. Gossip, complaining, fear-driven news, mindless entertainment. It's all around you. If you let your mind soak that up every day, don't be surprised if you start to think small, act small, and live small. That's the trap of mediocrity. You've got to take control of your mental diet the same way you take control of your physical diet. Be intentional. Ask yourself, what am I reading? What am I listening to? Who am I learning from? Are these things lifting me up or dragging me down? If it's the latter, cut it off. Replace it with something that stretches your mind, something that makes you think bigger, something that reminds you of what's possible. And here's the real payoff. Feeding the mind expands your vision. It helps you see opportunities you couldn't see before. It helps you believe in possibilities you never considered. It breaks the limits of what you thought was achievable. And once your vision expands, your actions expand. Because you'll never act bigger than you think. Change your thinking and your whole life changes. But don't just learn, apply. Knowledge without action is wasted. Don't just collect quotes and notes. Use them. Try them. Test them. Make them part of your daily routine. That's when ideas turn into results. So commit to this. Make feeding your mind a daily habit. Read a few pages every morning. Listen to something educational during your commute. Spend time with people who stretch your thinking. Never let a day go by without nourishing your mind. Because if you do this consistently, a year from now you won't recognize yourself. Your thoughts will be sharper. Your vision clearer. Your confidence stronger. Remember, the body needs food, the mind needs ideas. One sustains life. The other transforms it. Feed your mind well, and you'll never live in mediocrity. Feed it poorly, and mediocrity is guaranteed. The choice is yours. If you don't measure it, you can't improve it. That's the simple truth. Most people want progress, but they don't track progress. They want success, but they don't measure the steps. And because they don't measure, they don't really know if they're moving forward, standing still, or sliding backward. What gets tracked gets improved. That's why you've got to track and review. Think about a business. No business survives without records. Imagine a company that never looks at sales numbers, never checks expenses, never reviews profits. It would collapse in a matter of months. Why? Because without measurement, they're blind. And yet individuals run their lives this way all the time. They guess. They assume. They hope things are improving. But they never stop to measure. And hope is not a strategy. When you track, you create awareness. You see reality, and reality is the foundation for change. If you want to get fit, track your workouts, track your meals, track your weight. If you want to build wealth, track your income, track your expenses, track your savings. If you want better relationships, track your time spent, track the quality of your conversations, track your consistency. Awareness is the first step toward improvement. But tracking alone isn't enough. You've also got to review. Take time weekly, monthly, yearly to look back at the numbers and ask what's working, what's not. Where can I adjust? Without review, tracking is just data sitting on paper. The power comes when you study the data, learn from it, and use it to make better decisions going forward. And don't just focus on the failures, celebrate the gains. If you saved more this month than last, celebrate. If you ran farther this week than last, celebrate. If you made one more call, read one more chapter, invested one more hour in learning, celebrate it. Progress, no matter how small, deserves recognition, because celebration builds motivation. It reinforces the habit. It says to your mind, keep going, this is working. At the same time, don't hide from failures. Failures are not the enemy. They're feedback. If you tracked honestly, you'll see where you fell short. Maybe you skipped workouts. Maybe you overspent. Maybe you missed your goals. That's fine. Failures show you where to adjust. They point to weaknesses in the system. And when you fix the weaknesses, you get stronger. But if you don't track, you don't know where you failed. You just keep repeating the same mistakes in the dark. Here's the key. Be consistent. Tracking once in a while doesn't work. Review once a year doesn't work. You need rhythm. Daily tracking, weekly reviews, monthly reflections. Build it into your routine. Just like brushing your teeth, just like checking your bank balance. Make it automatic. The consistency compounds, and over time the improvements become massive. I'll give you an example. Let's say someone writes down everything they eat for 30 days. Just the act of writing it down changes their behavior. They suddenly think twice before grabbing junk food, because they know they'll have to write it. That awareness leads to better choices. And at the end of 30 days, they can review the list and see exactly where they're strong and where they're weak. Without tracking, they would have been blind. With tracking, they're in control. The same applies in business, in fitness, in personal growth. What gets tracked gets improved. But you've got to be honest. Don't fudge the numbers. Don't lie to yourself. If you skipped, write skipped. If you failed, write failed. Honesty in tracking creates integrity in results. And here's something powerful. Tracking gives you perspective. Sometimes we feel like we're not making progress. We get discouraged because change feels slow. But when you look back at the records, you see the growth. You see that your savings account really did increase. Your waistline really did shrink. Your knowledge really did expand. Tracking shows you the truth, and truth builds confidence. So here's the challenge. Pick an area of life you want to improve, and start tracking it today. Don't wait until you feel ready. Grab a notebook, open a spreadsheet, use an app, whatever works. Write it down. And then set a time each week to review. Celebrate the wins, adjust the losses, keep moving forward. Do this for 90 days and see how much changes. Because success isn't random. It's measured, it's reviewed, it's improved step by step. And the person who tracks and reviews with discipline will always outgrow the person who just hopes and guesses. What gets tracked gets improved. Simple rule, powerful results. One of the greatest motivators in life is not competition with others, but competition with yourself, the version of you that you know you could become. See, deep down, we all carry a picture of our best self. Stronger, wiser, wealthier, healthier, more disciplined, more generous. The question is, are you living in a way that honors that future self, or are you letting that vision slip further away each day? Here's the idea. Put yourself under the pressure of your own potential. Visualize the person you want to become. And then act as if that person is already watching you. Because in a sense they are. Every decision you make today is either building or betraying that future version of you. Picture this. 10 years from now, you're sitting across the table from yourself. One version is proud, thankful for the discipline. the sacrifice, the consistency you showed today. The other version is disappointed, angry that you wasted time, ignored opportunities, and settled for less. Which one do you want to meet? That future conversation should guide your present actions. Most people live as if the future doesn't exist. They eat without thinking about their health 10 years from now. They spend without thinking about their wealth 10 years from now. They waste hours without thinking about their skills 10 years from now. And then the future arrives. And it's not what they hoped. But here's the truth. The future is built by today's choices. Every action is a vote for the person you're becoming. When you put yourself under future self-pressure, it changes everything. You stop asking, do I feel like doing this? And start asking, would my future self thank me for this? That one question cuts through excuses like a knife. Because you know the answer. You know whether your future self would be proud of another hour of scrolling, or whether they'd be proud of another hour of study. And this isn't just imagination. It's a tool. Athletes use it all the time. They visualize the future moment, crossing the finish line, winning the medal, standing on the stage. That future pressure fuels their training today. Entrepreneurs do it too. They picture the future company, the future freedom, the future impact. That vision drives them through the grind of today. You can use the same tool, visualize who you want to be, then bring that standard into today's choices. Now, let me warn you, this pressure can feel uncomfortable. It should. Potential always creates tension. It's the gap between who you are and who you could be. But don't run from that tension. Use it. Let it push you to close the gap. Because the pain of discipline now is always less than the pain of regret later. And remember, the future self isn't just